God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way, and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, and the mountains quake with their surging. As a nation and as a church family, we're living in a challenging and unsettling time because of the coronavirus epidemic. And the decision to suspend all church services and activities must have come as a great shock, but it was necessary in order to comply with government instructions to combat the spread of this very infectious disease. God is in control. So it's a time of great uncertainty, isn't it? Especially for our young people whose term came to a sudden end, not knowing what grades they're going to get. For people who are abroad, not knowing how they're going to get home. Please pray for the Dobson family today, because they're in the Philippines and they're in that situation. We're concerned for the vulnerable members of our family and our community. The older ones, the ones with underlying health conditions. We're concerned about those who are going to be self-isolating due to ill health, or those that are going to be self-isolated for a long time. How are we going to cope with this? Think about families. Think about how parents are going to look after their children for many, many weeks. Think about those who have financial hardship, unpaid leave. Think about those who are working in the NHS, those who are in positions of authority, those who are seeking to bring food supplies to us and essential medical supplies. We're concerned about all these things at this time of great uncertainty, but we are to cast all our anxiety upon God, because He cares for us, because He's good all the time, and because He is with us. And He will help us through this. And He will help us to be a non-anxious people, to be a people of faith who love our neighbours and bring glory to Jesus through this time. That's what I'm praying for. I believe that's what you're praying for too. I want to go on to tell you how we're going to organise as a church through this time, because I'm sure you have many, many questions. And the first thing I want to talk about is our worship. How will worship be different? Well, this Sunday we're going to be live streaming the service at 11 o'clock. Please bear with us, it's the first time we've done this, and we're going to start with a basic format, with a message from God's Word and with prayers. But in the weeks ahead we're going to be exploring with sung worship. I realise that for some people they may not find it easy to connect with technology, and they may not find it easy to work with these new methods. But if you know anyone in this category, get in touch and we'll try and help. We've got people in the church who are really skilled at getting online. And those who are just not going to be able to do that, we'll try and get teaching to them in other ways. So how is pastoral care going to operate during this time? Well, we're going to be in touch personally with everyone in our church through a phone call. That'll be either from myself, from an elder, from a home group leader, from Janet Logue, the pastoral care team. So how can we love our neighbour during this time? Well, one of the ways we can love our neighbour is by adhering to the government guidelines, because to spread infection is not loving. But there are other ways in which we may be able to reach out as a community through our friends, our neighbours, through our church contacts, those who are isolated, those who are in distress. And Janet Logue and the pastoral care team have got a way of doing that, and we're going to be telling you about that very soon. A way of perhaps helping with shopping, helping with postal, helping with urgent supplies. This is primarily for our church family, for our church community, but there may also be ways in which we can work with other churches throughout Inverness. How are we going to gather for discipleship? How are we going to gather for fellowship? we're not recommending that we gather physically, but we do believe that through technology again we can gather in groups. So we had our first elders meeting on Thursday evening, and it was a great success. All the elders were present, all of us used the video conferencing technology for the first time, and we even finished our meeting on time, which was fantastic. But we want to see if we can do this for alpha groups, for home groups, and this is something that Angus Jameson and William Hamilton are pretty experienced in. It's a technology called Zoom, and I'll tell you more about that. What about prayer? Well, this Sunday evening at 7 o'clock, we want to live stream and link in with a national prayer meeting. This is something that all the churches across the UK are going to be connected in with. So just go onto our website at 7 o'clock and there'll be a link to link into this national prayer meeting. But if that's not possible for whatever reason, and we're still waiting to see how that technology is going to work, then just to spend some time at 7 o'clock praying for our nation at this time. It's hoped that over the coming weeks we'll be able to tell you about how we're going to gather for prayer meetings online and other ways in which we can encourage prayer, because isn't prayer the absolute key through this time? And perhaps through this really difficult time, we're going to trust God more, we're going to depend on Him more, and we're going to grow in our faith and love for others even more.